Right, welcome to another episode of the Old Poetry Podcast. And I am joined today by former Royal Medical Corps veteran, Amber GH. It's a lot easier,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a double barrel one's always going to catch people out, isn't it?
I'm not posh. Hi, thank you for having me.
No drama. So thank you very much for coming on, taking the time. Like I say, it's always appreciated. I know people have busy schedules and stuff, so you managed to fit in an hour with me. I really appreciate that. What I like to do with all the podcasts is get a bit of a background about yourself, kind of where you grew up, what you were like at school and when you were younger, and then kind of just go down the route that you took in life and obviously joining the military and kind of how your career went and what you're up to now ultimately. So yeah, over to you.
Okay, so I grew up in Lowestoft, Suffolk. They say they have web feet round here. I don't have web feet. I wish I did. I'd be a better swimmer. But I grew up round here. My upbringing was a little bit rough, so didn't have the best childhood, and so I kind of wanted to escape and like try and make something of myself. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do until one day at school we went to like an armed forces day. You know, when they come and visit you and you go on school days and you go around and see like loads of tanks and little leaflets and stuff. And I don't remember exactly what happened that day, but I just remember from that day I wanted to join the military, and then I joined at 16 as soon as I left school, straight to Bassingbourn and did my soldier training, as they call it, and then straight to Keogh Barracks for medical training. And then from there, went to my unit into Aldershot, for Med Reg into Aldershot. Wonderful place. It's a lovely para pub there, isn't there?
Yeah, the Trafalgar. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. And then straight into pre-deployment training as soon as I got to the regiment. From there to Afghan, and then I was medically discharged in 2016 for CPTSD. PTSD. God, I can't even remember what the C stands for. It's what I got memory loss really. It's really annoying. But anyway, when I first left, I found myself homeless, and me and my son were on the streets. I didn't know what I was doing, anything like that. And I reached out to Help for Homeless Veterans charity, which now, so this brings me today. I now work for Help for Homeless Veterans charity, been an ambassador for the last like 5 years, and I'm now officially a member of staff there, fundraising and supporting other veterans into getting them into housing, which is, they saved my life, to be honest. Which is great. And now I'm writing and painting, and I've been in some documentaries. I've even written a song, 2 songs, which I recorded last year, and then I've got to go back to Texas to do the premiere this year at some point. Yeah, lots are happening in this world. It's been a whirlwind.
That's good. That's good. It's good. It's good. It seems like you've had a varying time of things. So I'll go back and talk about like kind of what was the kind of rationale by the kind of med corps? What made you think about joining that unit?
Honestly, I thought I could join as a PT. Got no idea that you couldn't, because I was into boxing and football, and I was always had done athletics, like really fast, like 100 meters, 200, since I was 9 years old, beating boys and stuff. So I thought, so into fitness, that I thought I could join as a PTI, and they told me I couldn't. So then I was like, I don't know. I seen people do drivers, like driving, and they were like, "You're too short to be a driver to join the RLC." So then I was like, okay, I don't know. They said, what about medic? I was like, cool, yeah, let's do that. So I had no idea really what I wanted to do except for a PTI. Yeah.
That was
I
your
joined
kind
as a
of
medic.
right. Okay, well, a medic, like everyone has a lot of respect for medics within the military because of obviously the nature of their work, and obviously you get to see some pretty horrific things, especially in current climates. But obviously, you served around a time when Afghanistan was obviously kind of in the forefront of operations throughout the British Army. So you kind of trained. How did you find training as you went through? So firstly, your basic, and then onto your kind of phase 2 medical training. How did you find all that?
Because I was quite fit, I really enjoyed it, although I had never picked up a Bergen for that kind of fitness. So running the mile and a half was really easy, press ups and stuff was quite easy. But then it comes to the tabbing. And honestly, at first, even until I got to Afghan, I found tabbing really hard. Like that was my shins and everything, that really hurt. The weapons training, that took a while to get a knack of, but eventually you do, don't you? hence the training. What else did I really struggle with? Map reading.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and I'm still not very good at it. I have to be honest. I've always struggled with map reading. So yeah, but training, I found that I enjoyed that training. I thought it was really, really helpful. You kind of get broken down, don't you, from civilian street into like a soldier, and you just a lot of emotions. You're up and down. There's points you want to go home. You think, what am I doing here? And then you just suddenly pass a certain barrier and you just love it. And there's an adrenaline to it that comes with it. And yeah, I enjoyed that. And then Keo, because I've always been more of a practical learner, I've struggled quite a lot with the theory side of medical stuff. But the practical stuff, I pass everything easy, except for the theory side. I remember passing 100% for the pharmacy. So I was so pleased. I was like, oh, yeah, I got 100% for that. Great, considering I'll be giving meds to people. So that's good. But I did struggle with the theory, and I had to really knuckle down. I was never like the best student in school or anything, because of childhood stuff. I was sort of all over the place. So that was definitely a time where I really sat down in the classroom
Yeah, it's hold up.
for a good few years.
You froze then. I don't know what happened. We had a glitch
Can
in
you
the
hear me?
matrix. Yeah, it's all right, you're back. We had a glitch in the matrix, and you just kind of froze in a certain position, and I was like, "What's happening?"
Did I?
It's all right. You're all back.
Was it like this?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a kind of the amount of veterans I speak to, and there is a reoccurring theme with the kind of theoretical side and almost the school side of things. It's like people struggle to learn in classrooms with the theory, and then they take to the practical stuff, and that's just it seems to attract people that for the military that kind of learn that way. And obviously the military's a lot of hands-on with stuff. It's a lot of weapon, a lot of practical stuff. So that kind of fits in, and like I say, that's why it suits certain people and not others.
Agreed.
But what I want to, if you don't like, because we've kind of moved on quite quickly. So your childhood, are you happy to talk about bits and bobs about your childhood and how come, like how you kind of grew up, and because you just said there it was a little bit difficult. So what was the reasoning behind that, if you don't mind me asking?
So my mum and what I now know to be my stepdad, I didn't realise, I thought it was my real dad at the time until a few years ago. Long story. That's for another time. But he was very abusive towards my mother, and lots of stuff would happen, and then they broke up. But I was always daddy's little girl. Like, I adored spending time with him. Like, he would be the one that would take me and my brothers out for long walks and stuff, and he would be the one that would take me to athletics club, and the one putting the effort in. But then I went to live with him when I was like 10 years old, and my mum was she's very funny. We don't talk, but she would ignore me, and she kind of just basically sort of disowned me, kind of thing. And he sexually abused me, when I lived with him. And then when I was 13, I went to live with my friend and her mum. So I kind of grew up with my friend. Yeah. So it was intense. And then I remember I had to do like a video camera court thing, because you're too young to go in court at 15 and sort of say everything that sort of happened and whatever. Yeah. So that was crazy.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, that, isn't it? So I suppose the army it was kind of almost escape away from that, wasn't it? At 16 years of age, and then you're kind of trying to get away from it. Yeah, and again, a lot of people that kind of they kind of try and get away from it, don't they? But the military seems to be an escape for people kind of that have had traumatic things as children, isn't it?
It really was. When he started sexually abusing me, that's when there was a boxing club that was like down the road from me, and I was like, I'm going to join so I can fight him off me. But I was never strong. I'm only like 4'11", so I was never. And he was like 6 foot, so I was never strong enough to ever get him, off me. But I then became strong enough to push the wardrobe against my door every night, so he couldn't get in my bedroom. Yeah, that's so. And then that mentality of boxing go pretty much every night, whenever it was open. And sorry, did you just hear my phone ping? I put it on silent. Yeah, so it was sort of that mentality was drilled into me sort of in from a younger age, I suppose, of you've got to be strong, you've got to be strong. Yeah, and then it sort of carried on with me throughout my whole entire life. That sort of from joining the boxing club and being in survival mode. I sort of, it's horrible to say, but I've almost got comfortable at living out of the comfort zone and surviving mode and stuff like that. Which one day I hope not to be. But I hope to be comfortable in a normal mode.
I can't sort of comprehend with what you're saying. It's probably having a profound effect on you throughout your kind of adult life as well. But obviously, it's a very, very difficult one. And obviously, you join the army at the probably youngest age you can possibly join at 16, like I say, to maybe to try and get away from that. So,
as soon as I could, I was gone.
No, 16 is kind of a young age to join up. I was a little bit older than that at 17, but it is still a young age, and it's at that age as well. The army training is it's difficult, isn't it, for younger people? I've touched on this as well. I always kind of say the people that were a little bit older in their early 20s found it a little bit easier because they're a bit more developed. That's male and females as well. You carry a bit more muscle as you get kind of older, and your bodies are more developed, so you kind of find the training. So when you said about the shin splints and you struggled with the shins, that's sometimes sort of linked in with obviously putting weight on your back at such a young age.
Yeah, we're still developing, and our minds are still developing most of all. But then I don't, if I joined later, I don't think I would have been as stronger mentally, if that makes sense. I wonder if I would be as easily moldable for the military. Does that make sense? I wonder if, because at 16 and 17, we're very moldable, we're very influential at that age to kind of get them how we want, and we're a bit more scared then of like discipline and not like, but also we're a bit more feisty at that age as well. So sending us to war at 18, we were all ready and we're not as aware of dangers around us until you get a certain age. You're like, oh, that's heights, that's a bit scary. Or like, I think certain things don't happen until you're a bit older. You're a bit more aware when you become older.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you kind of unaware of the danger as I kind of, you probably the same. I look back now at some of the things I've done and think, God, I couldn't even comprehend doing them now because like I always joke about like I have to kind of weigh up stepping up over a 2-foot wall now or stepping down a small bank in case I fall over and twist an ankle or something. And they're the things that don't come into your brain, when you're kind of young. You're just fearless, aren't you?
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Yes, exactly. You are. You just go. And I don't think I could climb 2-foot wall now.
Not without pulling a hamstring or something. That's what had happened to me. I know for a fact. It's like running for stuff now. I'm I'm mid-40s now, and I know it's not old. And
you look great, by the way.
Thank you. It's the grey. It's come on over the last few years, and I can't do a deal about it. And the hair's gone as well now. I've gone bald, so it is what it is. I've just had to embrace it. But I think the biggest challenge I've found as I've got older is not being able to do what I could have done sort of 15 years ago when it comes to fitness. And you have to kind of alter your fitness and the way you conduct yourself with training. I think that it's just kind of adapting as you get older, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Just because, like most veterans, our knees hurt, our backs, we ache, right? And it's like we've put our body through so much at such a young age, and now, like I'm 36, so the last year I've really started to feel it, even with fitness. Like I ache a bit more, or there's certain things I can't do like I used to, and I'm like, oh, my mind wants to, but my body's telling me no.
I said, from a young age when I was in my late 20s, I'd never use age as an excuse, but now I've become that guy where I'm going, well, I can't do what I used to do. I still do a bit, I feel like I'm kind of active compared to the average kind of guy that's in the military.
Same.
And I think that's a lot of mentality, which comes from being in the military. But it's just being aware, isn't it, of not being able to do perhaps what you could 10 years ago or something. You like say it is
without causing injury.
without injuring or knackering something up. So obviously, you've gone through training. You've and then you've gone to obviously your unit.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Turned up at your unit, kind of, after training.
It was great because we when I got to the unit, there was loads of us that come out of Keogh barracks at the same time and went to 4 Med Reg, so we were sort of together. But it was also very daunting because we had, like, you've done all your training now and you're going into the real army now, and it was a bit like, don't know what to expect. And we're there, I think it was like a month or two, my memory not great, I can't remember the exact timeline, but it was very soon, as soon as we got into the unit, they're like, right, pre-deployment training for Afghanistan. And we're like, we're 17, just got to the unit, just out of training, and straight into pre-deployment training, which actually I found very tough. Like the pre-deployment, I don't know how yours was for the paras, but I remember like it being extremely, like it was a level up from basic training and what you would do in Keogh with carrying like stretcher racing and whatever else. It was like a complete whole new level of training and getting ready for war. And it was like, it was a bit, I remember being a little bit scared at some points, like, wow, is this what's going to be like in war? So we'd done like 48 hours of just, we had to stay awake and just constantly run up and down shooting and then dragging people through mud. And I remember thinking, I want to cry. This is so hard. And it was like constantly swapping rounds and we didn't get much sleep. And it was really, it was probably harder than any patrol, actually, in a weird way. This moment that I remember, which is weird.
That's exactly that, isn't it? The training's there, so when you get into these real-time situations, you find them not easy, but you're trained for it. And as it goes, train hard, fight easy, and that's kind of
Exactly.
a bit of an ethos and a kind of motto within the armed forces. Is that's why our training is as hard as it is, and throughout the British Army to prepare us for these, kind of. So, what year was this? What year did you start pre-deployment and go to Afghan?
So 2005 I joined. 2007 I went to Afghan in March. That was 2006 we were doing pre-deployment training, and the beginning of 2007. Yeah.
So that
and
was,
I remember being with the Anglians on the heli, and we did heli training before we deployed.
Yeah, well, like 2006, 2007, sort of right up to 2010, they were the tours in southern Afghanistan that were renowned for being kind of, and I was never on them. I'd left the military by then. I was already working in the Middle East doing close protection, but I know guys that have been on them tours and spoke about, 2006, 2007 as being kind of horrendous, a lot of fighting and a lot of casualties, which you will know. So kind of, so you were out on patrols, obviously, with the Anglians in southern Afghanistan.
So I didn't patrol with the Anglians. My son's father, he was out there at the same time as us. We were together before we got out there. We met actually we met in basic training, but met again in pre-deployment training, which is very, very weird. So, but yeah, and then we were out on tour together. So we'd send blueies to each other. That's all we could do until we bump into each other randomly. But I was with the RTR, 2RTR in Fob Robinson, WFR, Worcestershire Forestry Regiment in Gresh, and the Pioneers in Kandahar. Yeah, it was we dealt with so many casualties, so many. I've lost count, if I'm honest with you. Dead bodies as well. I've just seen so many dead bodies because in Gresh we had like a dead body tent. And I just remember it being disgusting. And that's where we would kind of put all the bodies until we could obviously get them removed. And it was just, that was pretty like, creepy in Gresh with that. But I love patrolling with the WFR guys. They protected me like a little sister. And my basic training instructor, it was WFR, and he happened to be in Gresh at the same time, and he would really look after me. He was like, I trained her and I've got to look after her. So I was very looked after by the guys. And he would, when we would go on patrols and stuff, he'd like make me stand right back of the vehicle with the dogs sniffing for mines. And yeah, he would always look after me. So that was good. I remember my first casualty, and I'd literally been there a few weeks down at Bob Rob. That's by Sang Valley, isn't it? And it was with the RTR boys, and he come in, this guy, and I just remember this is very explicit. So trigger warning, brains like being everywhere, like exposed. And we were trying to like pry him, chest drain him, and just trying to save his life, but he died. And I remember just like 18 years old, come out of training, being in Afghan a few weeks and being like, and just like I had to walk out of the ISIL container because that's all we had as our med bay. And I walked out and just cried. And I seen his friends and I was like, quick, quick, wipe your tears and go back in again. And then I had nightmares for days after this guy's face and brains and things. And I kind of had to say to myself, get a grip. This is just the beginning. And after then, it was like I had to just kind of, I always say I had to kind of see people as Resuscianis, knowing full well they're not dolls and this is real. It was very, you had to learn to put your emotions aside and deal with them later.
Yeah, and that seems, again, that seems to be a reoccurring theme. It's almost like you're too busy. The guys and girls are too busy to kind of almost digest what's happening at that particular time. So then they put it to the back of the mind, and then they crack on, and then it's when they get almost a lull, whether that be R&R or when you leave the military or whatever it is for a person, when it all kind of creeps to the forefront, and then that's when people start to struggle with it, isn't it?
Yeah. Mine was because I dealt with a lot of women and children in Bob Rob. I remember we had a mass casualty situation of over 30 women's children. The artillery was just passing through as a stop base, and they had to offer their cam cots and stuff, and obviously the RTR boys. And it's unfortunate in war we get women and children that get injured and they're innocent, and I hate that part about war. If I'm honest, I think it's disgusting, and I don't think it's okay that innocent people are getting hurt when they don't even want this war in the first place. It's not right. But these women, children, and babies were coming through. And there was myself, Mel, and a nurse. So Mel's another female medic, and a nurse. That was us three. And we had to get a doctor flown in. From Bastion, we had to get med kit flown in because there was just so much. But we only had like 2 med bays, 2 medical Bergens in our ISIL container. We were running out of med kit. We were getting all team medics to help get involved and stuff. It was chaotic. We were woken up out of our beds. I was still in flip-flops, shorts and t-shirts whilst treating people. It was just, so I had all these women and children casualties. I remember crikeying a lady in the neck to cannulate to get some blood, some fluids in, and just think I'm only a CMT2, and I've not been out of training like really that long, and I felt like I was thrown into the deep end, and I sort of learning as I was going. This all happened because we had an American Special Forces medic with us, Tim, and unfortunately he passed away as well during all this incident, which is really sad and horrible. We always think about Tim because Tim taught us so much during that period we were with him, even in the few weeks that we were there, the few months we were there with him. And he's thought about, forever remembered Tim, and he taught us so much. But yeah, so we were grieving the loss of Tim as well as dealing with all these casualties as well. It was just intense, and babies were dying. We were trying to fix blown up limbs of babies, and they're not the same as what you do in training with a big bloke, a big soldier. You're dealing with fragile little arms which are blown to pieces, and grown women and children and all different ages. And I still didn't really think about it at the time. I was just trying to delegate guys. I was like, can you please go do this while we do this? And then because we were using the team medics that were with the artillery and the RTR, trying to use all the resources we've got, and we're getting people, can you call Bastion? We need more med kit. We're running out. We need this. It was a crazy day. And when you looked at the sand afterwards, when all the casualties were sort of gone, there's just like, I remember looking around, like just covered in blood and stuff, and looking at the sand with empty packets of like bandage wrappings and, just different random packets, and just thinking, wow, that was crazy, and being so exhausted. But I didn't really think about it because then at that time, because then like next day you've got another casualty, or you've got someone coming in with diarrhea and vomiting, and then so you don't have time to consider what you've just witnessed. And it was when I became a mother that hit me. Is that weird? It's when it hit me, and I was like, wow. And when I hear my baby boy crying at the time, it reminded me of the crying. It triggered my memory to that day of babies crying. And that's when the whole PTSD would sort of came up for me. It started from about there, yeah. It was a little bit before. I remember going through a depressive state before, but not really wondering or knowing why. I would just remember feeling sad on and off before. But then that's when it really, when my son cried, memory straight back to that day. And it was like, okay.
Yeah,
Which is weird,
it's
isn't it?
not everyone. Different things affect different people, don't they? With the whole PTSD and the kind of mental health issues and stuff. And I've said this. I mean, I am absolutely by no. I'm no expert in it. I'm kind of trying to learn about it as I go by talking to different people and stuff. But again, one of the common things that I'm learning about is people don't realize it. It takes them a while to realize what it is. So therefore, it takes time to then address the situation and also to kind of then seek help and all these things. This may take months. It could take years. But if you're lucky enough to spot it and realize and seek, but it has to be that accepting that you have something that's not right as well. And again, that's not always easy to do for people to then talk about it and seek help, is it?
Still don't think now I accept it, if I'm honest. I still I know I've got it, but I'm like, no, I don't. I'm stronger than that. I can keep going. I can keep doing. And then there's times I'll just feel really sad for no reason. Or like I went to the fireworks last year for the first time in years. And I thought, it's about time I take my son to the fireworks. He was 12 at the time. He's now 13. And I took him, and then I was like with my sister, and I remember just diving to the floor and almost crouching back to the car to get in and get away. And I just did it automatically, and I was like, yeah, I'm not coming back again for a while. I tried, but it's just like those little things. And I mean, I've heard fireworks from distance and being fine, but it was sort of right above us, and it was literally like we were about to be bombed, and I was just, and yeah, that I was just a little too close, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And like you say, you don't know how you're going to react, and it kind of triggers and the things. Like I say, everyone's different, and it might not be something that's overly obvious that triggers someone's. It's kind of almost figuring that out for yourself, I suppose, isn't it? And obviously that you know what you can and can't do. So what? If you don't mind me asking, what sort of treatment? When did you first reach out and sort of look for help and kind of get treatment?
So I said my boy's dad, he's Royal Anglian. We were on tour together at the same time. So his story basically, he bayoneted someone. The Anglicans had a rough time, didn't they? The Ross Kemp tour, that's who they were with. They had a terribly rough time. But when we got back, he had immediate PTSD, immediate shock, and was drunk a lot, and he was abusive towards me. He would get, as what you would call, a death stare. And I do think PTSD, different people react differently to it. I think some can get angry, some can get emotional, some can be go into themselves. I've seen so many different reactions from different people, whereas I'm more emotional and I'm just isolate. Whereas obviously my son's father, his would be aggression, but he does also get emotional as well. So he's got a mixture of all of it. But he would go into this stare and then see me as the enemy, and he nearly killed me a few times, to be honest. I had to get out, and he went back to Afghan again, and he was ringing me, and paradigms recorded, isn't it? He obviously had said where he's going to shoot me, my son, and whoever I'm with when he gets back. He's going to kill everyone, basically. He got arrested at the airport, and they put me into safe houses at Tidworth. And then it's fine. I had a welfare team, and that's when they finally started talking to me about my PTSD. So I was sort of trying to deal with his for a while and mine. So that was in the end of 2012. So many years later. And I started to get sort of a bit of therapy, a bit of counselling. Then they posted me to Wimbish. So he didn't know my location. I had like GPS things. I've been through quite a lot, me and my son. We had like GPS things which military police give us, and sort of kept our location under wraps for a while. And whilst there, I was getting CBT and with the DCMH in Colchester. Be based there in Colchester.
I was Colchester for about 5 or
Yeah.
6 years. Yeah, I was in Aldershot as well for a couple of years before I moved to Colchester. So I know them both.
Yeah, you know there. So yeah, so DCMH there, and that's sort of when. Well, not even then. They then posted me to Brunei, and I don't know what it was about Brunei, the environment, but basically, I got really, really unwell there, and they Casualty me back to the UK, where I was then in the PRU unit. Is it? They put me into that, and that's when I really got deep, intense therapy. I was on diazepam a lot of the time, which was insane, really. But I needed it obviously at the time. And they said, yeah, you've got CPTSD and anxiety and depression disorder. Yeah. And I was just like, okay. And then later on was sort of discharged, ready for in 2016. But it was a big shock because then I was going through resettlement and I was on diazepam and I had no idea what was happening. So I had no idea.
Yeah, it's hard enough leaving the military on your own terms. Never mind leaving the military, kind of being medically discharged, and also suffering from PTSD as well, and kind of sort of anxiety and depression and stuff. So all them things rolled into one. And obviously, it sounds like you've had a hell of a lot on your plate from the get go, really, right from childhood until
The
so all these
survival.
things. Yeah, it's a really challenging one for you. So I do feel for you there. It's just I can't comprehend like having all those things to deal with at once. It's just obviously a nightmare. So when you left the military, you kind of because obviously you've got it's well documented, but you've spoke about it before. You kind of ended up homeless, and how did that come about? If you don't mind me asking.
I think because I was so like during the resettlement, when I did go at Colchester, I weren't listening. My brain was all over the place. I'm doing CBT and I'm not even aware of my surroundings, if I'm honest with you. And then I was kind of like, well, you need to get out of the housing now, really. You've got to go now. You've been discharged. So I kind of discharged and I was like, well, where do I go? So I put my stuff into storage and slept on my brother's sofa and with my boy. And then with the payout I did get, because I didn't have a job, I couldn't then get a house, or then I didn't really have a guarantor or whatever. You have to be in a job 6 months, don't you, to sort of get into a house. So I started a job as a healthcare assistant because I thought that's close to a medic, but you can't officially take all your quals into Civvy Street. But I could be a healthcare assistant. But I still wasn't there 6 months. And I was using all my money to sort of pay for hotels and things like that. And then I was running out of money and I was like, I don't know what to do. I was going to the council and I was like, look, I've got mental health conditions. I've got a son. I've been through domestic abuse. Like, I've got it all. Can you help me? I'm a veteran. No, you could go on a waiting list. There's no emergency. They didn't even put me in hostels or anything at first. I know, and I was just like, can you hear him?
No, you're all right.
And I didn't know what to do. I was going to the council every day. I was like, please help me. Like me and my son are homeless. I then lost my card because I couldn't carry on paying for the finance. So then I didn't even have the car to sleep in, and all my stuff's in storage. And I was just like, I've got no money left. I can't I can't even go to work when no one's got to look after my son, or we haven't got a home base to go to or leave my stuff anywhere. And I reached out to Help the Homeless Veteran Charity, Brandon, quiet down, by going onto Google. And I was like, "Oh, there's a charity," and I just emailed them like, "Please," like a really beggy email, like, "Please help me. I don't know what to do. I've got no money, nothing." And they got back to me pretty quickly. They called like the hostel and whatever to get me in immediately. But that was like there was druggies and stuff in there, and it made me very uncomfortable, especially me and my son, just us two on our own. And then they drove all the way from Yorkshire, picked me and my son up, and then took us to a bungalow in up north in Yorkshire, where we stayed in. So it was a one bed bungalow, but we had that sort of accommodation. They helped me get back down south and helped me sort of get housing this way. And ever since, I've sort of just tried to give back, because once I was with them, they like bought us food for the first month. They furnished the whole place, so I didn't have to worry about anything. They got me a counsellor. They did so much, and I was like, "You've just literally saved me and my son." I actually didn't know what we were going to do. Like we had nowhere to go. That was it. And from then on, I've just sort of been giving back and helping and supporting them. And then they asked me to be their ambassador, and I was like, "Yeah, I owe you my life. You literally saved me and my son from I don't know what path. If I didn't reach out to them and they didn't reach back to me, I don't know where I'd be, to be honest with you." Does that sound crazy? I don't even know if I'd be alive, because I had tried to kill myself a few times and I was contemplating it. I was like, I don't know what else to do. No one's helping me in City Street. Nobody. The council don't care. No one's supporting me, and I'm on my own. And I was scared. I was really, really scared at that moment.
Yeah,
I thought that was us.
and you do hear a lot of this where kind of certainly veterans, obviously they struggle when they leave, but then they kind of end up in a really, really bad place. And I've heard a lot of horror stories about various jobs, and like you said, councils and stuff trying to house people and on waiting lists. But while you're on a waiting list, you may be homeless. And I've heard this quite a lot. And it's good to hear a kind of success story, if for want of a better word, where the charities really come good and had a success at helping you. And I really like the fact that now that you've kind of offered yourself to be an ambassador for them. And like I say, I really like the fact that you now feel like you can give back to a charity that helps you, and that's a good thing, isn't it? And I think that's a really
Mm.
nice way of doing it, is that you're now giving back to them.
I just think I owe them that. I would actually probably be dead if it wasn't for them. And my son would probably eventually got taken off me as well, like, because I couldn't provide a home. I just don't know what would have happened, if you know what I mean. I just don't know. So, and I'm glad I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I'm very glad. And I think you get two choices once you hit. Like, I've seen and been through so much, and I've always, since that young age of even like doing the boxing, you get two choices, don't you? You either find your strength and you climb and keep going, or you just stay down and let stuff happen to you. But there's somewhere, at one point, I was like, you've got to somehow take control of all the bad stuff, that you've got to use that to your advantage. And what's the point of it all? Then if you can't use what's happened to you in a bad way for a positive thing, then what was the point of it all in the first place? You can't just let it drown you. You've got to proceed, and you've got to try and lift yourself up. And we can't control what people do to us, but we can certainly control ourselves. And it's just like, you have to just keep fighting. And we're soldiers, that's what we do. We just keep fighting. Well, that doesn't mean punching fighting. I just mean with strength and positivity and morale and laughter. You've got to find the positives to keep fighting in life and just keep pushing forward. And there's got to be success stories out there. There's got to be.
Yeah,
We've
no,
just got to keep
I
moving
agree.
forward.
Definitely, and I like the fact that kind of I like that what you've said there. You can't let the bad stuff define you. You've got to kind of keep moving forward. It sounds like some sort of punchline from like a kind of rock film or something, but you know what I mean. You've got to almost
Yeah,
put it behind you. That shit's happened. That stuff's happened. It wasn't very nice, but it has happened. You can't change it. But you can't let
exactly.
it bring you down. You've got to then keep moving forward and trying to make a success. And it sounds like you're kind of in a really good place right now. and it also sounds like you're kind of the things that you've got going on, which we'll come on to, is kind of like a real success story. And that's when someone sort of brought you to my attention the last a couple of days ago and said, have you ever thought about this girl? I get quite a few people message me now saying, what about this
Yeah.
case? What about this case? So I flick through them and I go, well, yeah, that'd be great. And I saw your story and I thought, you know what, you would make an absolute brilliant guest, because again, everything I'm trying to do is push the mental health thing. And you've obviously had your struggles with mental health. Obviously, you talked
They're
about the
still there.
suicide
They're still
attempts.
there.
I don't think it ever goes away, but you kind of,
No.
obviously, so obviously, well, I hope you have learned to kind of manage it.
Absolutely. I can tell you what I have done. So have you seen the meditation stuff on YouTube and positive affirmations? So I've really, the last, I would say 4 years, really, I've sort of behind the scenes of helping and supporting the charity. I sort of do meditation, I believe in like spiritual stuff, but not always. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, you haven't rang me $1 million. It's not real. But I'm not always like that. But it's like the positive affirmations are so important, especially when you've been through abuse and trauma. Like you think you're worthless, you think you're nothing, so you almost think you deserve the negative stuff. And that's what I've found. The more affirmations and the more working on myself has actually improved my life. And it's sort of, I've now learned to set boundaries to get me out of that survival mode. It's just sometimes still a struggle, and sometimes I still revert to my old negative way of thinking, and I've got to fight myself. But I really have fought hard, and it's only like the last 2 years really that it kind of sunk in. And I mean, that was 2 years prior, still hard work of trying to convince myself that I'm half okay, that I'm half a decent person, these positive affirmations. As you go back to what happened to you, you can't let what happened to you make you think that you are worthless and make you think that you don't deserve these things, because everybody deserves good things. Nobody is worthless, and we all bring attributes and positivity and positive things to the table. And it's just finding what your power is, what your passion is, and what your strengths are. And you need to work on them. And that negative stuff, get rid of that. You don't need it. And that comes along with learning boundaries. When you've been abused or in toxic situations since a child, you become a people pleaser. And I'm still working on that trait, but I've always been very yes man. I'll do yeah, whatever you say. Scared to hurt somebody's feelings, scared that I'm going to get attacked back or hit or abused. And it's only still the last year where I've learned to say no to people, because it doesn't fit with what I want to do, or it doesn't feel right to me, or it's draining me. So you have to work on those things to become a better and happier person. Not even a better person, but a happy person. It doesn't matter if you've got a million things around you, but if you're not happy, what is the point? You need to really just be happy in who you are and say, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to go out. No, just no. And yes, I'd love to do this painting, or I'd love to climb that mountain. Say yes, no to what aligns with you, and learn to, it's your body, it's your mind. You are worthy of doing what you want to do without hurting anyone else in the process.
Yeah, ultimately, you've got to kind of put yourself first. And like I say,
Yeah.
a lot of people do that, is they kind of try and put, and then when you kind of get it straight in your head that, you know what, or if you're burnt out or you're kind of suffering with the issues that you've talked about, then it's good. Sometimes you need to take that step back and say, you know what, I'm the most important person. I need to look after me first before I can then start helping others or doing whatever it is you're doing. And what I try and do with all the podcasts is I try and take something away from every guest, and so far I have. I'm learning so much about different things, and people are inspiring me, and I take positivity away from it. And you talked about the kind of the meditation. My fiance is quite big into to meditation, and
Yes, lady. High five.
She's tried. No, she's a firefighter as well, and she kind of.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, well, when you were saying you met on the job, we met at work and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
she kind of tried to push the meditation side on me as well, but I'm yet to to kind of let my brain. I try to get into the zone of meditation, but my brain's off at an angle doing all sorts of bits.
That's why I have to, same as you. So I can't do a silent meditation or just whale music. I have to have words. So they go, you are powerful, you are amazing, or take a deep breath in. I have to listen to a voice as well.
Even then, they don't work for me. I've tried. I have tried. I'll keep trying. I will keep trying with it. Like I say, my fiance Hannah, she
takes
keeps
the time.
trying to push it. Yeah, I don't give things enough time, so that's probably the reason. But I might try it again.
But you know, meditation just isn't just sitting there. It's the mindful moments, isn't it? Climbing a mountain and just for a moment, just even for 10 seconds, just go looking around, breathing in and going, wow, this is beautiful. I'm worthy. And soaking that moment in. I say they're small moments of meditation, small moments of the day, or walking past, you know, a cute little butterfly that flies past you, like, oh, that's beautiful. Just taking in what's around you, small, mindful, meditative moments throughout the day that for our ADHD brains and overactive brains can accept and handle without sitting there for 30 minutes like,
yeah. That's
the
probably
easier moments.
Yeah, the nail on the head there is the ADHD brain, and it's literally trying to, like someone explained to me, it's like having 1,000 squirrels kind of running around there, running riot, and ultimately that's what it feels like sometimes. Trying to do a million
I'm
things.
sitting here playing with this with my hands.
Oh God,
I can't
terrible.
sit still.
Yeah, it has its negatives, but I also kind of see the positives from it, because you can almost channel it some ways with hyper focus, and when you get into something, you're all over it, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Goodness, aren't you get like, so I've definitely got ADHD. I have to constantly move tasks, or if I'm really on a task, I won't stop until it's finished. And then I don't sleep, and I'm like, are you
well, that's called the hyper focus. That is, it's called, and I've learned a lot about it. And again, that was brought to my attention by my fiance when we first got together. She was like, I don't mean to be horrible, but have you ever thought that kind of getting tested for these sort of things because your logic and the way you think's a bit different to everyone else? And I was like, okay. So I did, and it turns out I have ADHD. But the hyper focus, I almost call it. One of the guys I work with has ADHD as well, and he said to me, he says, I take it as a superpower, the hyper focus thing, because it enables you to literally, wouldn't you like the podcast? It's consumed me since I got the idea in my head in February, and I've tried to push it. And as a result, it's starting now to kind of succeed and get to the place where I want it to, through literally not being able to sleep and think about nothing else other than the podcast, you know. So it's
frustrating, isn't it?
It's frustrating, but it has its positives as well, if you want. And I read something like 90% of entrepreneurs have ADHD, and that's why they kind of
because of that
succeed.
dedication. Yes, exactly. I do. It's my little sister that noticed it for me. Actually, she's like, I swear you've got ADHD. And then when she noticed one day when I was just like, there's no music or anything in the background, I'm like, she was like, and there it goes again.
Yeah,
and then
so
I started looking into it, and I was like, I do, and I love it, because I think, don't you can create great work from your brain being like that?
You can. It has there's so many different traits with it. And I think some people have some traits, some people have more than others. And I think it's fairly common, but obviously to varying degrees. But you can certainly, and I'm a big advocate for people that, you know, again, talking about it. And I don't like the label thing. I really don't like it when people especially when people use it as an excuse for stuff.
Yes.
I don't like that label thing. It's like, right, it is what it is. But if it helps people understand how their own brains think, it can only be a good thing. And it helps people research. And if you can research it and learn about it, I now see it. Obviously, I don't know any different. That's the way my brain works. But I do take a lot of positives away from having it, because I try and say, you know, they almost sometimes outweigh the negatives with it, you know, much to my fiance's frustration with some of the negatives. Like I've said it a million times, I can start 20 tasks in the house, and she will come down and it will look like someone's threw a grenade in the kitchen, because I've got the fridge open. I've got the fridge open. I'm half washing pots. I'm half making lunch. Half the washing's out. Half unloaded the washer, and it's like, so I'm like, I'm going to start a million tasks at once and then not actually finish them.
I've got like 4 paintings on the go, but I do that when I'm doing fitness at home. I'll be like, quickly, just run and take the dishwasher stuff out, and then I'll go, oh, back to it. No, I need to do this quickly, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's
it's
a
like,
nightmare for the people around you that
yeah,
don't understand it. So again, but Hannah, she's really done a lot of research to understand it and almost understand what it's like to live with someone with it. So she takes a step back now. I think that's why she probably does the meditation. It's just to cope with me.
I love her already. She sounds brilliant. I think a lot of people in the military or who join the military actually have undiagnosed ADHD. And I don't know, whoever watches this, who might agree or who might think they have ADHD, Asperger's, underlining Asperger's. So I definitely think my son's father has something underlining as well with the PTSD. And I think many soldiers do. When you look at the traits, you can see it. And when you understand yourself as we do as we're older, and we go, well, we do have ADHD as we realised when we're older, you can understand and see that, and you're like, yeah, I do think many do, actually.
It is, and one of the traits as well is also adrenaline seeking. And I know you could say argue that just as people adrenaline, but that is one of a big trait is people seek to keep the brain active, and they find challenges with stuff that's adrenaline seeking, whether that be boxing, whether that be kind of
Well done.
you know
I
what I mean?
see around you guitar, boxing, like you're like, I've got guitars, music instruments. Where you go from one
Just to keep me busy. Yeah, but I've started the guitar to no avail. That is literally, I got frustrated with it, but I keep trying to pick it up. But the frustration with the guitar, I can't learn it faster as I want to. So therefore, I'm like, no,
same. I got a
it's one of them.
violin recently as well because I was like, right, I'm getting annoyed with the guitar now, so I'll buy a violin. Oh, it's awful. I don't recommend. Not for your ladies' ears.
No.
It sounds terrible, but to start with.
Violins out. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, it just sounds like screaming cows. I don't know. I'm not good, so it sounds bad. But when I listen to other violinists on the internet, I'm like, I wish I could play like you because you sound beautiful. But yeah, I'm not there yet.
No. Reality sets in.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So back on track, moving forward, because this is what happens again with ADHD people. So you end up digressing and talking about the
Yeah, sorry.
so yeah, you kind of you left, you've kind of settled. So what sort of career did you go around? When is it? Because obviously you've got. Have you got more than one book out? You'll have to excuse my ignorance, but I know
I
the
do,
veterans.
yeah.
How many books have you got out?
Cool. Off the top of my head, I've just written an autobiography for a World War II veteran, Alan. That was released last week. I've just done another War's Truths, it's called, with loads of veterans' poems. So writings like healing, and I want to bring a community together for us veterans and soldiers to heal, but also for the reader to look at these poems and say they can relate if they're a bit afraid to tell their story, because everyone has a story and everyone should have a voice. And that's what I wanted to give in this book, to give our veterans who aren't on podcasts, who aren't as well known or out there as much. I wanted to give them a voice, give them a chance to tell a side to their story, but in a creative way. But also this one, all the money raised from that book, it's attached straight to the charity's banks. It goes straight to the bank. So everyone's involved in fundraising as well, which is amazing. So that's two. I've got an autobiography myself. I've got my own separate poems book. I've got a quotes book, another book, 7 or 8. Yeah, 7 or 8. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
few.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff. Well, it sounds like you've kind of thrown yourself into the writing thing, which again, if it's something you enjoy and you kind of see that as a coping or a healing method, because there's a few groups. I'm a member of a group. I've been trying to push it for a veteran that reached out to me and said, look, I've got this writing group on Facebook, and I was trying to push that because I kind of like the idea behind that. So my best friend as well, he's ex-SBS. He's now got into oil paintings. He was always, I've known
I
him
love
since we
that.
were really young. We grew up together and joined the military together and stuff. And I've got a couple hanging in the house. I've got one in my hallway and I've got another one in the kitchen. And he's such an
Yeah.
amazing artist. But he started now part of his healing process because he got quite badly injured. he paints oil paints now, and he's a fantastic. So I'm a big, I'm all for
We have
that
to
kind of
send me some
stuff.
of his work. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
yeah.
fantastic artist, and eventually I think you'll start to see his art out and about. And I think once he kind of gets fully sorted and he's just left the military, so he's finding his feet with civilian life and everything else, I think that will be a route for him properly to go down.
That would be good. I agree, because I do painting as well. Just some guys just asked me to commission to do paintings. I'm giving it a go, but I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, "Oh, it's not going how I want it." But yeah, I find any kind of creativity is healing, right? Painting, writing, poetry. Obviously, I like poetry because it's short and sweet and doesn't take too much of my brain or time, and I don't get bored with poetry. Music writing, so I've sort of dabbled in a bit of most of it.
No,
I've even done like
absolutely.
some modeling and things. Not that I'm not too fan of like modeling and posing for photos. I feel awkward. I don't like that as
Yeah.
much. I get like really, I don't know, I feel I'm not quite secure enough in that environment of doing modeling, but it is a fun experience anyway.
Yeah, no, fair play, fair
Yeah.
play. What about the singing then? Talk me, how did that come about?
So someone sort of reached out to me. So it's called Operation Rock the Troops. They're in America, in Texas, Nashville. And they were just like, do you want to be on our show? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Love to. Not really know what the show is about. And then I went to Ireland on the show, and it's a songwriting healing camp for veterans. So what we did, there was the only British veteran on this show. So far, I think I'm still the only British veteran that's been on the show. And hopefully we can get some more British on there to write songs and stuff. And then we get paired with a national artist, so an American national artist, and we sort of tell our story, and then we write a song together and then perform it. And then we recorded it in Nashville later on in the last year. We went to Nashville, performed it in Nashville. I mean, like, that's
Wow.
people's dreams. And it's like, I'm in Nashville performing like when Miley Cyrus, Dolly Parton, whatever. Like, I can't even play guitar, and I'm here like on a stage in Nashville and in Ireland as well. That's pretty cool. And in a recording studio with like producers that are just amazing. Like, I've really met some amazing humans, and it is healing. It really is healing. Writing your song, creating your song and your words. It's just a step up from poetry, really.
Yeah, I can see that.
But learning melodies, which was really hard because I still don't understand all the melodies. I mean, people go to music school, don't they, to learn all this? And it was a very short term, but we were on like a tour bus. I thought it was insane. And we've got this, literally, Matthew JC has just messaged me from Operation Rock the Tubes. Hi, buddy. He's literally talking with the devil. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just what an experience. We should be going back in November, as long as I can afford the flights, fingers crossed, for red carpet then and the premiere of the film and things. So that would be great. But I just can't believe I wrote that. Wrote a song and made a. I never really dreamt of becoming a musician, but now I love sitting writing songs, and it's so healing and it's so fun, and trying to learn the guitar.
Yeah, I know, fair play. Again, look, I have so much respect for you for kind of doing different things, and a lot of people spend their whole life wondering what if, and not giving it a go, and then looking back and having these regrets. The fact that you're doing it now, you don't know if they're going to work out or they're not going to work out, but you've got to try, haven't you? And kind of.
Exactly. I mean, even if my song doesn't get anywhere, I know when I performed it with the musicians on stage, our audience, they were in tears. They were actually crying. Like, so I know it does something to someone.
Oh,
And I
absolutely,
know
yeah.
it's a good song. And whether I choose a music career after this, I don't know. But do you know what? We only live once, and I'm just going to take every day as it comes and see what happens next. But there's some opportunities you say no to, and there's some that, like that, you just, why not? What have I got to lose? Let's
No.
give it a go and see where it goes.
No, absolutely. I love that. That's brilliant. And I try and live by the same sort of. No one needs to hear me sing, though. That is a fact.
I'm not
People
good
sound.
either, but apparently I'm fine. I'm bad, I think.
Yeah, I guarantee you'll be probably 1,000 times better than me. There is no, there. This is I am tone deaf, literally, and obviously musically as well. So it wouldn't be good, trust me. But no, I like the idea of kind of having a go at things, and because
Hmm.
there are so many people out there that won't have a go and get stuck in the rut, and that's fine. People want to be like that, but I'm all about the experiences and trying different things, and it sounds like you are too. So no, fair play to you, and I hope it all works out.
I think it was the right timing because if I was asked 4 years ago when I was still in a bad place, I would not have took the opportunity. I'd have gone, no, I'm too like I'm not in the right headspace. But I think the healing is so important because it's opened my eyes to more opportunities and good ones too. And it's helped me. I wouldn't have had the confidence 4 years ago to say yes or to even write a song or get on the stage. Whereas now it's like, oh yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, if it goes wrong, we'll just laugh it off.
It's a good attitude. No, can't fault you.
Yeah.
Why not? No, well, look,
But yeah.
I'm conscious of that. I've kept you for over an hour of your time.
Oh
Thank you
God,
very
have we been on
much.
that long already?
Yeah. It's
Oh
flown
my
by now.
sorry.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I think thank you so much for sharing. It's not some of the topics you've covered there are not easy things to talk about, and like I say, by getting someone on that has been in your situations and has been in war zones and has dealt with the things that you've done, and he's sort of confident and happy to talk about them, then in my opinion, then hopefully other people will see this and think, well, you know what, that girl can talk about her experiences and not be ashamed of anything, or and just be open about it, and hopefully that can encourage other people to do the same, and I think that can only good can come from that.
You shouldn't be ashamed of things that happen to you anyway. I mean, they're part of our story. They're our scars, whether they're visible or not. They're who we are and they're who molds us. Never be ashamed for anything happening to you or around you. Or even if you're someone who's done something bad, don't be ashamed of that either. Just be a better person. That's all you can be.
No,
Take that and go, well, I don't want to do that again. I mean, yeah, and don't let bad things define you. You got good in you and you deserve it. Whoever's listening, you deserve to be loved and you deserve to have good in life and to have good luck. So make sure you say no to abusers and red flags and what doesn't align. Tip of the day.
tip of the day. Thank you very much, Amber. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll have a quick chat with you off air when I stop the recording. But again, thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your story with us. It's been fantastic.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.